Hi, I'm Susan Cleveland and I've got some more tips to share with you today. I recently made this little quilt. It's a takeoff of a Dresden quilt, which is a traditional pattern. It's been around for a very long time. Traditionally it's repeated blocks, but I've kind of broken up the units and I've pieced the background different than what is traditional. But beyond that, I did a little more, something different. Come on in here and I'll show you. Traditionally, each of these blades would either be pointed at the big end or scalloped or straight, and I have made it pointed, but the inside, the smaller end of this blade would normally be left unfinished and an applique piece would be put over these unfinished ends. I went ahead and I pointed the small end of the blade as well. So I don't need that applique piece here, and that opens up some design possibilities. So I have a few good tips to share with you on how to create a quilt like this or something similar to this. Let me show you. Now there are some tools on the market that make it easier for cutting the Dresden blades. Traditionally, a Dresden blade is an 18-degree wedge. Here are a couple of rulers that are on the market that help you do that quite easily, though you could draft your own template and use traditional rotary cutting rulers as well, but these are two that are on the market. 18 degrees. They will be labeled Dresden. They may or may not say 18 degrees, but if they say Dresden, they're 18 degrees. That means that there will be five blades in a quarter circle or 20 blades in a full circle. That's what the 18 degrees gets you. Now actually you could do this kind of design with a different angle. You would just have a different number of wedges in each quarter circle and in each circle. This is a 22.5 degree wedge, 30 degree wedge. You just get different number of wedges across each segment. So that's all that's at. Let me show you how to cut using these tools. Here is how to cut each blade of the Dresden unit. I've started with a 4.5-inch strip. Depending on how big you want your arc to be, that dictates how wide you want your strip. I've taken this Dresden ruler and placing it on here because I need to start with the proper angle, so I'm going to make that cut. And then, just like usual in quilting, I'm going to take and you either flip around the whole entire mat or just the strip like this. And now the wide end is going to be over here. Line it up. I want to make sure that's lined up correctly. And I have this layered. You can cut as many layers as you're comfortable with. But there are a couple of pieces. And then I would take and turn the ruler and cut one like this. And then I would turn and cut like this, and so on down the strip. So now we are on to sewing and pressing these pieces. This is a tool called the Prairie Pointer, and it will help us turn the points at each end of the blades. That has been just a nasty task in the past, and this will make it much easier. So, take a cut blade and fold it in half, right sides together, and then sew a 1/4-inch seam down here at the end. Now here's the fold here, and when you trim the threads, I suggest leaving a little tail and use a tiny stitch length, like a 1.5, so that it won't come undone. The next thing we're going to do is press the point into this end. So this is pretty cool. Take that point, first stick that Prairie Pointer tool in there, and then open up this seam and just finger press it. Finger press that little hat down in the top, and that is inside out. And then take this, put your finger here, pop it right side out like that. Now you see, this is where usually there's a problem, where you have to stick a pokey thing in there and to get that point to come out. And a lot of times you poke a hole in your fabric and make a mess. Not a happy day. But instead, I like to take the Prairie Pointer tool, stick that in there. See how it just popped that point right out? And then make sure that the line is on the center line of the tool. Set the iron on there and slide the tool right out. Then let the iron sit there. Now, this tool, you could leave it in there if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to do that. Once you've set the iron on it, you can just pull it right out. And then look, I have a really nice point on the end of that unit. Then, after this end is finished, we take this, fold it right sides together, do the same little seam at the skinny end, lay that down, got to finger press that seam open, so this goes in there, put your finger in there. If it's difficult getting your finger in there to open that up, you can stick a stiletto in there to kind of pry those pieces open, and then flatten the little hat at the top, and then put your finger on like this, pop it right side out, stick the tool in there, pop that little point out right up there like that. Make sure the seam is right on that center line. Hit it with the iron, slide the tool out, let the iron sit there, and then don't keep making units right on that spot on the ironing board because it will get hot. Move your way on down the ironing board as you make more and more units. So then make a whole bunch of units like that, and then you'll put them right sides together and sew this seam in order to put all the different pieces together, and backstitch at the beginning and at the ending of that seam so that none of those seams will come loose, and make up as many as you need, units like this, and then they can go into full circles, 3/4 circles, half circles, or just units like this and placed into your quilt. So we'll take another look at the piece that I did. And I invite you to visit my website, piecesbewithyou.com, for the pattern for this quilt and for lots of other tools and books and wonderful things. Thank you for watching.